Our next speaker is the chairman of an EdTech non-profit organization, and he believes in harnessing the power of technology to make positive change and transform people's lives. He leads a team to support the educational community here in Oman, and he introduces and manages national-wide projects and initiatives to attain Oman's 2040 vision and the UN's Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote life learning opportunities for all. He is Faisal Al Balushi, and he is the chairman of OSET, the Oman Society for Educational Technology, and he will be speaking about hyper-automation in education, speeding up digital transformation.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was planning to say good morning, but it's not anymore the morning. So, it's really nice that we are meeting face to face, after being, stuck in, for a while, attending virtual events. So, and it was really interesting 2 days ago, especially the first day, during the, coffee break. There was a discussion between a group of people outside, and I was just listening. I know them, but I was just listening. And they were talking about the e-government, about digital transformation, and how the process is still slow, and it's not what we hope to, reach. And there's one guy, actually, is my colleague. He mentioned, or he did a comparison between Oman and Dubai. It's kind of like a, international benchmark. So when he mentioned about Dubai, he said that actually they moved, away from the traditional way of digital transformation into more advanced way of, in doing business. So he gave an example, his personal experience, where he applied for something, I think, with a government entity in Dubai. And he said, basically, it's all online. It's not only online. It's like you go, you apply, you provide all the requirements, and there's no human intervention. Means that if you apply, if you provide all the documents, all the requirements, the system, or he calls it system, will go on and get all the permission and get back to you, giving you either approval or rejection. For many, we call this blockchain. It might be blockchain, it might be something else, but there is something else also going on. It's not, interconnection or connecting different departments. It's actually also speeding up the work. And that's actually done through automation. Automating daily tasks, automating business process, and to move it into like big scale, people move from automation into hyper automation. And this is what we're going to talk today. Okay, so my name is Faisal Al Balushi. I'm the chairman of the Omani Society for Education Technology. So we are a non-profit, semi-government organization in Oman with the aim to empower the community, the society, to have a positive impact on education. I'm also an advisor for Freedom to Hear. It's an innovative technology company based in UK that working on building protection wall for social media tools. And basically, protection wall for, tools like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and and lately now we're working on building protection wall for Roblox. So this protection wall would protect people in social media from cyberbullying and also hate speeches. Anyway, so when we talk about digital transformation, usually we start with the traditional method. And it's a very modest way of doing, doing digital transformation. Basically, for many government, that means, for some organization, means, technology integration, digitizing some process, moving to online services. Then, we move from that traditional way into more, or let's say more effective way, through automating tasks to make it at large scale. So when we say automation, It's a very simple way. We are using bots or digital robots to mimic the daily work of a human. And then, because we wanted to make it at large scale, and also make it or accelerate the effort of digital transformation, then there was a new term called hyperautomation. Basically, it's just boosting or giving more power to automation, or the RPA, robotic process automation, through AI or artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other technology as well. So why we moved from the normal way of doing digital transformation into automation? The problem with that faced many organizations when they integrated technology in the organization in effort to have digital transformation, things did not get better. It actually got worse. In many situations, the organization would think about how to make the experience better for the employee, but in return, it makes it worse for the customer. And it's very slow, and the organization, the top management, sometimes cannot see the most important area to work with. To give you an example, if you reflect on the call center experience, especially with banks, I'm not naming any company. In banks now, if you call, you get automated response, where you have to go to series of choices until you reach the agent. And unfortunately, in many times, by the time you reach the agent, you will be struck that all calls are busy. It might help the bank itself, but it made the customer experience worse. And there's many examples even in the education sector. So then the biggest change, I believe, from my point of view, happened is that there was a shift from really focusing on technology to focus on human. How is that? So instead of bringing a technology and putting it in place and just expecting that it's going to change, we are actually empowering our employees by automating their work, so that their routine work, so that they could do more innovative work. So in return, we have best or better customer experience, and we are boosting employee productivity. We are accelerating the digital transformation. But there's a slight problem with the normal automation process, is that we actually tend to automate the process or the work that we know that it could be automated. But what about other areas that we are not aware of that it could be automated? So give you an example. For many organizations, when they apply automation, they look into the work that is already digital. So then they try to automate that work. But what about physical work that could be also automated? And to find out, or to, it's really difficult for organizations to do full analysis and find out this. So they rely on copying other organizations, looking into what's out there and applied into their organization. The solution was to utilize AI, machine learning, and other tools that act on behalf of us to go, let's imagine, this is like you having millions of tiny robots or bots, and you send them to this organization, and they go everywhere. So they start monitoring, looking into what's happening in the organization. So they look at the work process, the daily routine, the documents, the exchange of documents happening, also how your staff are working, and how the customer are interacting with your employee. So it collects this data, it analyzes this data, and then instead of just suggesting, it will start automating the process. So by that we mean that for hyperautomation, everything that could be or can be automated will be automated. And the main difference is also that hyper-automation could work with ecosystem of platforms, systems, and technology, while automation, usually you work with one platform. So, and this is also interesting because in that discussion, they mentioned about the problem in Oman, or with some organization, the problem with digital transformation, they have legacy technology. And each department, each unit had different technology, have different process. And the solution from his point of view was that we should have unified, for example, data center, unified national record, unified technology. But with hyper automation, you don't need that. You actually, it has the integration system that could integrate with any system, with any technology, and do the job for you. So if you're interested into the definition of hyperautomation, it's according to Gartner, it's a business-driven, disciplined approach that organizations use to rapidly identify. So these are the three main important words: identify, vet, and automate as many business and IT processes as possible. Hyperautomation involves the orchestrated use of multiple technology tools or platforms. Okay, so now the juicy part. Hyper-automation in a very traditional market, education or higher education. And it's really funny that for the last 2 days, we're talking about future skills, future technologies, and all sort of new things. But, many of us did not mention education. So it's really funny that we're talking about, the future, and guess who's preparing the student for that future? Teachers. But we're not talking about teachers anymore. So for higher education, I'm going to focus about higher education. So for higher education, I believe there is 2 steps to get into hyperautomation. You don't need to start from the digital approach of, from the traditional approach of digital transformation and then move to hyperautomation. You could start today. So basically what we need first, because education is a very complex system. If you know that, if you are part of the education system, it's a very complex system. It's not straightforward. It's not like other business, organizations. It's very complex. To understand that, we have, actually could utilize AI, machine learning, other technologies to analyze the system and find out the areas where we can automate. We can do that through process mining, task capture, document understanding, AI, computer vision. And not only, analyzing the works that done on digital platform, but also work done in a physical environment. And this next phase, or the other part would be, is actually the part I'm interested here to talk about, is empowering employees to drive the hyper automation. So it's not just the main management or IT department that drives this, it's actually every single person in the organization, by empowering them to become citizen developers. And actually many higher education organizations already have the starting point, they already have the technology. So it would not add up cost. And it does not require any coding or IT skills. So we're not talking about hiring more IT professional or hiring the RPA experts. We actually work with our staff, students, with our teachers in colleges and universities. So what is citizen developer? In simple form, citizen developer is anybody with no IT, no coding skills, is through no code platform can actually build technology in an IT solution that drive, or could help them to tackle certain problems and challenges at work. And by no code platforms, and I assume many of you or some of you already use these platforms. So these are visual builders. So basically they depend on drag and drop. So there's a set of codes already there, and you just need to drag and drop and build the application. It does not require, in many times, any IT skills. If it required, might be in some platforms, it would require minimum IT skills. And this is not futuristic, it's not theory, it's already happening. It's already there. It's not future, it's here. So it's predicted that by 2030, the global low-code development platform market is expected to produce $187 billion in revenue. And by 2024, low-code application development will be responsible for more than 65% of application development activity. And why I'm saying it's already here, if you see these three companies, they're non-IT, non-technology company. But by empowering their employee, non-IT employee, they managed to develop apps, products, technology products that helping these companies. So you have Shell developed 75 apps, Toyota 400 apps, Pepsi more than 650 apps. And these apps are actually developed by non-IT employee. Normal employee has no IT, no coding skills. Yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about. So what can we build with no-code tools? Almost anything. If there's something that you cannot build now, or there's no code, no low-code platform exists, within weeks it will be there. This is just a glimpse of some no-code application up there. So it's a huge ecosystem. And still, this is just a glimpse. Imagine, with no-code skills or with no-code platform, you could build mobile apps, business apps, you can do automation, workflow, you could do almost anything you dream of. And to answer your question, when I said that it's low cost, because most organizations, especially higher education in Oman, they already have this technology. So I believe most colleges and universities, for example, have Microsoft 365. So if you have Microsoft 365, you could start today exploring how to build apps and how to automate works through Microsoft Power Apps and Microsoft Power Automate. So it's already there, you have it. And as I said, it's very easy. And the example that I showed you, the three companies, they actually utilize Microsoft Power Apps. But if you would like to go beyond that, just developing apps, and you are interested more into full hyper-automation, then this is one of the tools that I would recommend. It's a no-code hyper-automation platform. And what is interesting, it provides you first the tools necessary to go on and record what's happening in your organization. It's analyze what's happening in your organization, and based on that, will start automating the work in your organization, and also allow the citizen developer in your company start building bots or robots. If you attended the first day, especially the afternoon session, there was really interesting talk by, I think, Fatma from PDO. Yeah, Fatma Mukheni. They actually build apps or robots or digital bots in PDO during COVID-19. And it's only done, I think, team of 3. And she was leading that team. It's really amazing. And how to start, a very simple way. Empower employees to become citizen developer. Second, provide innovation space. In Google, they have 20% time. We mean that they freed their employee, for a certain time to work on their private projects, individually or in groups, to develop products or apps that will help Google. And these apps actually built not by IT, but collectively by other people in Google. And that's how they developed Gmail, Google AdSense, and also Cardboard. And we have also Hack Week, which is similar to that concept. It's used and utilized in Twitter, in many technology companies. It's the same concept. Employee come together and start working on projects that is not given by the administration. It's just free projects that they do. And, before I close my presentation, I know many people will think that this is very difficult in higher education or in education sector. Our teachers will not be able to do that. This is actually an example of an app developed by 9 years old who has no IT coding skills. In fact, she hates coding, okay? But yet, through no-code platform, she managed in less than 1 day design this app, for her school. If she can do it, I think we can all do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faisal, Chairman of Oman Society for Education Technologies. I come from India where we have very strong societies and confederations and industries, and I must say this, something I learned from working with the largest confederation of Indian industries in India is how powerful these societies are. Now we have the government here, the ministries, the social development, the education, the manpower, the higher education. We also have supporting us like the Oman Information Technology Society, Opal, but one important society, the Education Technology Society, and I would like you all to connect up with Faisal. He's on LinkedIn, try to work with him, because when the pandemic happened, the children were not afraid. They were very easy to get onto technologies. The teachers had it really difficult. And I would say that Oman is, the Education Ministry, one of the biggest employers, and all these jobs may become redundant because technology may start to teach our children and we may not anymore need a teacher. So the entire pedagogy is going to change, the way we learn and teach is going to change, so Faisal is a part of the future. So thank you, Faisal, for being here.